Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So as I talked about in my last video, I'm suffering a record amount of burnout. But you know what? Um, at least this time around, there's something that didn't happen that could have added a lot to the burnout. There's something that I strongly, Peter, dislike at my work. Something that will make me want to quiet quit in a heartbeat more than anything else. Let me talk about, since I've been talking about how I'm working at my dream jobs right now, let me talk about some of the slight negatives of my dream jobs. Well, first of all, there's a lot of generational differences, right? I work with a number of colleagues who are one or two generations older than me, and there's a difference in view, right? So, in how we live our life. But you know what? At least there's a lot more of a live and let live where I work, so that's become a lot more tolerable. There's sometimes things go a little bit more fast paced than I would hope, but you know what? Fast paced when you're doing something you love is not the end of the world. The biggest negative I can think of is we have some outdated software, and there's a lot of wackiness every time I have to enter grades into the grade book. And I teach at two different colleges, and our grade book is a mess, to say the least. I'm surprised that there aren't more inaccurate grades than there probably are, right? And for some reason, the school is okay with that, right? You got students who are getting inaccurate grades, and every time I enter grades into the system, it feels like I'm whacking my head on the wall over and over and over again. It might only take me 30 or 40 minutes, but the wonkiness of it all, and I have a PhD, and to be sitting there entering data and having the computer crash at you is just not a very good use of my human capital, if you will. And it just feels like I'm banging my head on the wall over and over and over again. And then yesterday, the file disappeared altogether, and I literally wanted to scream. I was sitting at the student union at the college, and I didn't feel it was appropriate to scream. I so badly wanted to scream. So as a compromise, I turned on my camera and I shouted Peter Dislike Show just to let out all the stresses of all that. And I actually contacted our department chair to see if I could contribute to some software to help with that problem, and our chair just blew me off about that. She's like, just focus on your grading, and I'm like, I think I could get a whole lot more mileage out of actually improving the system. I didn't tell her that, but it was very frustrating that we have some generational gaps that it's very hard for me to get my voice heard sometimes. But that's the only thing that I, Peter, dislike there. Do you know one thing that would cause me to quit my job in a heartbeat? When people lie to me at work. I was teaching at another college over in Seattle, Washington, and long story short, I would find out that I'd been lied to. Our school president would have decided to assign me some tasks that he knew I wouldn't like, and he would be like, "Oh, we haven't really decided yet," and he would give me the task last minute, and I would hear through the grapevine that he knew about all this ahead of time, or he would schedule me for stuff on very short notice just so I couldn't turn them away. Let's say there's undesirable work. It's 3 weeks out. He doesn't tell me until the night before because he knows if he tells me 3 weeks out, I'm going to negotiate with him, right? Things like that. I had the same thing happen at a tutoring center that I was working at last year here in Phoenix. We had my boss claimed that he couldn't give me the schedule for the week until the Sunday before. So oftentimes it would be Sunday before I would hear what I was doing on Tuesday. That's how short the notices were. And he said that he didn't know about the students' schedules and all that. One day, he's away from his computer. He needed to go run an errand, and he asked me to go onto his computer to teach somebody remotely. And while I was on his computer, I decided to snoop around. Two reasons, actually. One, I wanted to know when he was going to go on vacation. And the reason I wanted to know that was that I really liked working at the center when he wasn't there. Every time he was sick, when he had COVID-19, I kept praying that it would take him a long time to recover, because I had a good time at work when I was actually working and not worrying about when he would say something. Or to give you an idea of how upsetting it was to work around him, he would pick on things like, for example, I eventually figured it out, but he would complain that I was eating at my desk. You know, sometimes we'd get a shift that was 1 to 9, and I really wanted to do my intermittent fast, and the fast might have ended at 4 or 5, right? And a lot of times I ended my fast early just because I had a shift like that. And so eventually I didn't want to do that anymore. I would eat in the classroom, and that upset him. The students understood it. Eventually I got my therapist to write something to the effect that, you know, I'm recovering from binge eating disorder. And he still didn't like that I ate in the classroom. And another time during class, I quickly checked an email, and that upset my boss too. The student didn't even realize it. What had happened was my boss complained that I was checking my email, and so I apologized to my student, and my student said he didn't even notice. Like, my boss is complaining about something that my student didn't even know existed. That's how stupid it was. And so when my boss got COVID, I kept praying that he would never recover from it. So I wanted to know when he was going to go on vacation so that I wouldn't go on vacation during that time. I was hoping he would go on vacation for 2 weeks, and then right after that I would go on vacation for 2 weeks, so I could have kind of a 4-week vacation, right? 2 where I worked in peace, and then another 2 when I went away. But he was very tight-lipped about his vacation plans. It was around Thanksgiving, Christmas time. I was like, oh, are you going to see your family? Do you have extended family? What are you going to do? I was trying to get him to divulge when he was going to go away, but he was tight-lipped about that. And so he had stepped away from his computer, and I went onto his computer, and I snooped around and found some emails that he had written about when he was going to meet somebody. When his family member was going to pick him up at the airport or something like that. So I figured out when he was going to go away. And so I scheduled my vacation for the week after that. So that was nice. And then as I'm teaching this remote student, I stumbled upon the calendar for the rest of my schedule. The calendar that he swore he didn't know because the students change plans so often. And so I lost my good motivation at my job there after that. And I was never the same employee again. And so anyway, at least none of that stuff is happening at Phoenix College, at Grand Canyon University. It's just a lot of busy work, and sometimes not enough time to catch my breath, right? Have you ever been lied to at work? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.